Hi everyone, my name is Maggie and this is take number 56,000 the last 3 weeks. So we're just going to roll with it and try to get it done because we're struggling being in front of the camera. I am a photographer and I own Bello Images by Magdalene. I have been specializing in portrait photography since 2013, so I'll be making 8 years this year. When choosing photography as your career, there's no need for any post-secondary education, but there's plenty of online courses and classes, and even some universities offer these classes to photographers for any level. So there's beginners to experts because there's always room to learn in photography. There's always new trends coming out. There's always new things that you want to learn to enhance your photos and to have better knowledge of everything. So it's not needed, but it definitely helps to get you to the level that you aspire to be. Some high school classes that I can recommend for you to take to prepare for a career in photography would, number one, definitely be photography, but also art class. I'm sure everyone has heard that photography is an art, which is completely true. And there's so much you can learn in art class that you can apply to your images to make them better, especially in post-production, which is also known as editing. But there's times when you have to figure out which colors cancel other colors and your shadows, your angles. There's so much that you can apply from art class to photography. So those are the two classes that I personally feel that you could use to become a photographer. So what personality traits do you need to have to be successful in this career? I would say it would help if you're outgoing because of the fact that you have to interact with people a lot and you have to pose them, you have to talk to them a lot, and sometimes it gets awkward because you're posing them and they don't know what to do, you don't know what to do, and if you're not making a connection and a relationship with your clients, then it does become a little awkward. So I would definitely say being outgoing helps, but it's not necessary because someone who isn't as outgoing can take just as good as a photo as the next person who's super outgoing. So I personally am very outgoing and I like to talk a lot. So I feel that I either make my clients very comfortable with me or they're ready to go because I'm talking their head off. So that's what I would think is being outgoing is the number one. Also creative. You have to have a creative mind. Taking a photo isn't just having your camera and just clicking a little picture. It's what you see versus what someone else sees. They see nothing and you have a whole idea in your head that they would have never thought of. So being creative definitely helps. Pinterest doesn't always come through. Trust me, it really doesn't. So you have to let your wheels spin in your head and get stuff coming together. Rewind back to the personality traits. Friendliness. You definitely want to be friendly. Nobody likes an unfriendly person. So try your best to become very friendly if you're not, because friendly people are successful people. Nobody likes someone who doesn't have a good attitude. So you can definitely build your clientele up by being very friendly and making friends with your clients and building relationships with them, and you will always have them for life coming to you because they love you and they love your work. So be friendly. Public interaction as a photographer, there's a lot of it because you're dealing with people. Especially in portrait photography. Now there is different types of photography as far as wildlife and landscape and different, but portrait is the most popular and that's usually dealing with humans. So there is plenty of public interaction, which goes back to being outgoing and friendly because you have to befriend your clients and build a relationship with them and they become your clients for life. They love you, they love your work, they keep coming back, and you have a successful business. But there is plenty of public interaction when being a photographer. So moving on to salary. I actually Googled it for you guys because of the drastic change from photographer to photographer. But the average photographer makes $30K to $50K a year, and only 10% makes over $70K a year. But whenever you choose a career in photography, you usually are your own boss. So you get to come up with your own pricing, and you decide how many clients you want to take on a week, a month, whatever. You can charge $20 a session and have 3 clients a month. Or you can have $400 sessions and have 3 clients a week. So there's room to make the money, and there's room for you to relax and just make what you want to make. You get to decide it all, and you can be one of those people that's making over $70K a year if you just put in the work. The typical day in the life of a photographer, if you're doing a studio session, you would wake up, go in the studio, you would make sure everything is set up, the backdrops, any props that you're going to have. You have your poses ready to go. If you went to Google, Pinterest in your head, because Pinterest doesn't always come through, like I had mentioned. So you don't want your clients waiting on you to figure out how to pose them and what they need to do. They'll get there, you photograph them, make sure your camera's charged, you make sure you got your SD cards ready to go. After you photograph them, I usually get very excited, come inside, and I go through the photos, and I edit 1 or 2 so I can show them a preview. Then on your editing days, you sit at a computer and until your eyes hurt. But that's because that's my therapy, is whenever I'm in post-production editing all these photos, and I don't want to stop because I love it, but I have to because my eyes start going crazy. And then when it's time for delivery, you set it all up in your website, put on my album, and you send it to them, and you just wait for the great responses. And that's one of my favorite parts of being a photographer, is people understanding that let's see how we can say this. My favorite part is when people see images of their self that they didn't take, and they realize what others see, because there's a lot of people that don't realize how beautiful they are or how handsome they are. And whenever you deliver these photos to them, they're shocked most of the time, because they don't usually have people take pictures of them because of our technology we have with our phones and your selfies and filters. And so they expect the worst because they don't have these filters and the selfie mode and all these different things. And then they get the photos and they're so shocked, and they love it. I've had a few people actually in tears because they were waiting to hate their images, and they actually love them so much. And that's something that brings me joy as a photographer. I sure hope I was able to answer all the questions that needed to be answered. I'm going to attach some of my favorite photos that I have taken over the past few years. And if you're interested in seeing more of my work, or if you have any questions that I didn't answer, or other questions that you have, you can just visit my Facebook page on Bello Images by Magdalene, and it'll all be there. I hope y'all have a great rest of the school year.